Okay, let's unpack this. Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we take the sources you share, articles, notes, forum posts, all that stuff, and really dig in to find the key insights.
Yeah, pull out what really matters.
Exactly. And today, we're diving into source material all about upgrading Tamiya HotShot family RC buggies. We're talking HotShot, Boomerang, Super HotShot, those classics.
Right. Specifically looking at swapping out the stock dog bones for constant velocity driveshafts, CVDs.
That's the one you're trying to figure out how to get like smoother performance, better durability, right? So our mission today, cut through the confusion and figure out how you can get a smooth, bind-free CVD setup on these iconic buggies.
Okay, so first up, the why. Why even bother with CVDs instead of the stock dog bones? Your sources make a pretty strong case.
Yeah. What's the main advantage?
Well, mainly smoother power delivery. Less of that chattering you can get, especially when suspension's working hard or you're, turning sharply.
Okay. And durability.
Big time. CVDs have that captured pin design, so they're way less likely to just pop out during a run. That's a super common failure point with dog bones, especially if you drive aggressively.
That sounds familiar. Losing a dog bone mid-bash is not fun. I bet some listeners have been there.
Definitely. Plus, you might even get a slightly tighter turning radius sometimes.
Okay. Sounds good. But the sources suggest it's not exactly straightforward, right? Not just a drop-in replacement.
Not usually, no. Especially for this family of buggies. The biggest hurdle mentioned again and again is binding, particularly in the front suspension.
Binding? And what causes that, typically?
The main culprit seems to be the length of the CVD itself. A lot of generic aftermarket ones are around 70 millimeters.
It's too long.
For the front end of some of these buggies, yes. And this is where it gets really interesting because the sources point out the HotShot family itself isn't all the same.
How so?
There are differences between the original releases and the re-releases. And crucially, the stock dog bone lengths actually vary between models.
Ah, okay. Give me an example.
Sure. The original and re-re HotShot and the Super HotShot, they tend to use shorter dog bones in the front than in the rear, like maybe 70, 71 millimeter front, 71, 72 millimeter rear for the re-re models.
Okay, shorter fronts.
But then you look at the Boomerang, or the original HotShot II, and they apparently used equal length dog bones, front and rear, closer to 77 millimeter.
Wow, that's quite a difference.
It is. And even the re-release Bigwig adopted that shorter front setup from the HotShot. So this variation is exactly why a generic 70 millimeter CVD often causes binding up front on a model expecting something shorter.
Right, it makes sense now. So for those buggies needing the shorter front shafts, the HotShot, Super HotShot, what length CVD should people be looking for based on these sources?
The info points towards needing something shorter than 70 millimeter, maybe in the range of 67 millimeter up to about 69 millimeter for the front.
67 to 69 millimeter. Okay. Are there specific parts mentioned that actually hit that mark, or maybe ones to avoid?
Yeah, there are some specifics. Tamiya's own 70 millimeter DFU2 universals, for example, often suggested, but your sources say they cause pretty bad binding on re-re HotShots and Boomerangs.
So even official Tamiya hop-ups aren't a guaranteed fit here.
Exactly. It highlights how specific these chassis are. Even Top Force UJs, which supposedly worked okay on an original Boomerang front end, didn't work well on a re-re HotShot.
Okay, what about the aftermarket brands? Extra Speed?
Yeah.
Racing, GPM.
Extra Speed has a part, XSTA29045, listed for these chassis. But the sources mentioned the length isn't always clearly stated, and finding solid positive feedback specifically for HotShots seems scarce. So, kind of inconclusive there.
Oh yeah, Racing.
They have one, TATF0003SP, that's more interesting. It's listed for the Top Force and HotShot, and crucially, it's listed as 69 millimeters long.
Ah, 69 millimeter. That fits the range we just talked about.
Precisely. Makes it a much more promising candidate than their standard 70 millimeter options, at least for those models needing that length.
Okay, and GPM Racing. They sound important here.
Very, because they've actually released CVDs specifically for the new HotShot II 2024 re-release. And get this, 67 millimeter fronts and 69 millimeter rears.
67 front, 69 rear. Wow, that's super specific.
It really is. And that targeted approach, aiming for those shorter lengths, lines up perfectly with other user reports mentioned in the sources, like people having success using GPM shafts around 68 millimeters on the front of re-re Super HotShots.
So it seems like GPM might be onto something with those specific lengths. But even with these options, is it finally plug and play? Just buy the right length and you're good.
Probably not. The sources are pretty clear.
Okay.
Expect some potential fiddling.
Like what?
Well, people mention things like a bearing mod for the Super HotShot front hubs, using different size bearings, like a 5x11 by 5 outer and a 5x11 by 3 inner, to basically create a tiny bit more space.
Okay. A bit of shimming, essentially.
Sort of, yeah. Or there's mention of a more involved fix, Danny Mulder's fix, which involves modifying universal shafts to get down to around a 67.5 millimeter effective length.
Okay, so definitely not always straightforward.
And you even need to check diff cup compatibility. Some GPM CVDs apparently don't mesh perfectly with aftermarket diffs like MIP ball diffs. So yeah, details matter.
Right. So boiling it all down, what does this mean for you if you want to put CVDs in your HotShot Boomerang or whatever?
It means you absolutely need to know your specific model. Is it an original? A re-release? Which one in the family? That determines the stock dog bone length you're replacing.
Step 1, know your chassis and its stock lengths.
Exactly. Then step 2 is hunting down aftermarket CVDs with confirmed lengths that match what you need. Prioritize those 67, 69 millimeter options for the front if your buggy needs the shorter shafts, or look around 69, 70 millimeters for equal length setups or the rear axles.
And be ready for some tuning.
Yeah, absolutely. Be prepared. You might need to shim things, check clearances, maybe even do a small mod like that bearing trick. It's less about just buying a part listed as compatible and more about matching a precise length measurement to your buggy's specific needs.
Okay, so CVDs definitely offer real benefits, smoother running, more durable for these classic buggies. But getting it right means really digging into the details, knowing your specific model, and being ready to maybe tinker a bit. It's a proper deep dive into the nitty-gritty.
It really is.
Yeah.
Which kind of makes you wonder, at what point does meticulously figuring out this kind of performance puzzle become just as much a part of the fun as actually driving the thing?